Welcome to So Very Easy. My name is Laura, and sometimes the name of the quilt is as much fun as making the quilt, such as eggs on toast. This is a free pattern from Northcott, and it uses the beautiful banyan batiks. And this collection is called Shadows. It has beautiful variations of the different colors. We're going to start with 10 different colors. The border is this beautiful blue, and then inside we have a skinnier border, and it's sort of this gray blue. It's a darker fabric that's going to be inside the quilt and also as the binding. And for the toast and the eggs, we're going to cut a strip from each of those 10 fabrics. It is going to be 12.5 inches wide by the width of the fabric. And we need to open up that fabric so it's all one layer. And from here we're going to cut the toast, and on the end we're going to cut the eggs. The toast is actually big triangles, and in the directions we have sizes, and we're going to be able to follow those sizes. We draw the lines, and then we're going to be able to cut these big triangles and a half a triangle for setting triangles. And the measurements work out great, but I'm going to change the cutting directions just slightly. So what we need to start with is to take the fabrics and divide them in 2 piles. So we're going to have 5 in each pile. One stack, all of the fabrics are going to be right side facing up, and this is only one layer. So we've opened up that long strip. Really easy if you can put one of the lighter ones up at the top. The second stack, we have 5 fabrics, and in this case we're going to take those 5 fabrics and turn them upside down so that all 5 are facing down. And I'm going to take the lightest one and put it on the top, but it's still facing down. We're going to cut both the stacks exactly the same. By having one stack facing up and one stack facing down, when we go to cut the setting triangles, we're going to have the one on one side and the other reversed. And even though we have one fabric looking up and one fabric looking down, we're going to do the cutting directions in exactly the same way. We're going to draw right on these 2 stacks, so having the lighter colors is going to make it a lot easier to see our lines. And those lines are going to be cutting lines, so it's okay if you use something dark enough that you can see them. And the measurements are right in the pattern. So we have the 12.5 inch strip, and we're going down the width of the fabric. The directions say to cut a piece off at 19 7/8 inches. And we're going to change it, and that just gives you another way of cutting. If you are sitting right here, this is what is going to be facing you. So from the top, you're going to measure over these measurements, and on the bottom, you're going to measure over and mark the measurements along the bottom. We're going to add one measurement onto it, and that's going to be the very first edge. We're going to add a 1/2 inch. This 1/2 inch is going to make those setting triangles a little bit bigger, and that way we're able to trim them down depending on our seam allowance. So the first measurement we're going to do is a 1/2 inch. We're going to mark it right on the top of the fabric. From that 1/2 inch mark, we need to go over and mark 6 1/4 inches and make a mark. The next mark is going to be a 1/4 inch space, so then we're going to have another mark. Then the next mark is going to go over at 12 7/8. I'm going to transfer these marks onto my fabric. This stack is the 5 with the fabrics all facing down. On your right side, the first thing we need to do is square off the fabric and cut off that selvage. Once the selvage has been cut off, we're going to be able to make our marks. The first mark up at the top is a 1/2 inch. From that 1/2 inch over, we need to do a 6 1/4. The next mark, a 1/4 inch, and the next mark is a 12 7/8. The next one is marking the bottom, which is going to be facing you. The first mark, 1/2 inch. The second mark is the 12 7/8, and the last mark, 1/4 inch. Now we're going to join the dots from the first 1/2 inch up to the first mark, which is a 1/4. It's good to use something that you're going to be able to see the color with. The next mark, we're going to join it up with the next mark on the bottom. That bottom mark comes up to the top mark. So what we're looking at is a half triangle, a full triangle with a 1/4 inch mark up at the top, another triangle with a 1/4 inch up at that top. These two triangles are going to be the same. This is going to be a setting triangle. We're going to be able to just cut it right on those lines. We can take this long side and just put it aside. Because we know that these fabrics are facing down, let's flip them so that they're face up. And that way we know all of the fabric is always going to be face up. We can stack those two piles together. And this is going to come face up. The next stack is facing up, but we're going to do the same measurements. Take off that selvage, join up the marks, and cut them out. We have the two triangles and the setting triangle. You can put this aside. This time the fabric's facing up. We have 20 triangles all facing up and 5 half triangles, and these are now facing up, and you can see where they're going to make that triangle shape. And put my piece triangles aside. But everything is going to be face up. With these leftover strips, we get to make our eggs and the yolks. And this time, I want my fabrics facing down, so I have my one stack already facing down. I'm going to be able to just flip the other one so all of my fabrics are facing down. With the pattern, you're going to have these two template shapes. Now this is going to be appliqued on top of our toast. But today I'm going to be using a fusible method. There are many different fusible webs that you can get, and I'm going to be using a heat and bond. It's glue that's stuck on paper. One side is a very smooth piece of paper, and the other side is the glue. The glue is going to go on top of the back of the fabric. That's why we need to have our fabric facing down, because we're working on the back side. So I'm going to need to trace this on my paper. So I've made myself some quick templates. I'm going to need an egg for each piece of my toast. I'm going to take that shape and just trace it around. Then I'm going to put that egg and trace it right inside the middle, and it won't matter where that's going to go. So I have the egg and my yolk. I only am going to want the inside perimeter of the egg. So the first thing I'm going to do is just cut this all out. So the egg is just going to have a little bit of that adhesive coming inside. And then I'm going to be able to cut out that egg shape. So I'm going to get both shapes from that one piece. From each color, I'm going to need 2 eggs and 2 yolks. I'm going to be able to take this whole stack right to the iron. Once all of these have been pressed, I can cut out on that line. I now have 20 pieces of toast, 20 eggs, and 20 yolks. We need to take the eggs and yolks and put them on top of the toast. And I'm going to be able to center that egg on top of that toast and then put one of the yolks. You're going to be able to mix and match all different colors, so it's a very random look. So we need to take that paper off. Sometimes just a little wrinkle will work that paper off. So that paper is going to peel right off. So now the glue is stuck onto the back of the fabric. We're going to be able to peel off that back paper and then fuse all of this onto the toast. Once all my eggs are on my toast, I can do a little stitch to top stitch these down. All of my eggs have been stitched on top of my toast. We can now sew our eggs together in rows, 5 eggs and toast per row, with those setting triangles on each side. The triangles are going to match together, so we will have those 1/4 inch points on each end. So we'll put one triangle on top of another. You're going to see a little 1/4 inch sticking out. See that on one edge, and if you follow that line all the way down, that other 1/4 inch is going to be poking on the other side. And that stitching line comes right off that 1/4 inch point. We're going to be able to continue sewing these together in a row of 5. Once the strips are done, we're going to add on these setting triangles. We have 5 in each pile and we're only going to need 4, so we'll be able to put 2 aside. 4 rows done, so we can lay out one row, and then the next row we'll turn. By turning that row, we will match up those side triangles. Then we're going to be able to match up all of these points. So every other row we need to flip. When all of our eggs are together, we need to just clean off the edges. We need to have a 1/4 inch from each of these points over. With the eggs on the toast done, we're going to be able to add the borders. We have 3 borders. We have a little skinny one and it's cut at 1.5 inches, a pieced border, and a nice big large dark border to set it all off. It's important that before you cut the borders to the size that they recommend, check and make sure that your quilt is working out to be the same size. Seam allowances can vary, so it's important that you set that measurement to the measurement that suits your quilt. And then just keep checking as you go along. Putting a border on that doesn't fit your quilt will make it pull in or come out. And to keep it laying flat, it's important that those borders match your quilt. And put the next thin border on. This border was cut at 1.5 inches, so we need to put it on the 2 sides and the top and the bottom. And when we press this, press the seams going towards this little strip, and that will help with that bulk in the corners. Once that little border is put on, we're going to put a pieced border on. These were all cut at 3.5 inches, and we have a total of 8 strips. The directions tell us the total amount of pieces and size we need, and they leave it up to us on how we want to mix and match them. The first thing we're going to do is take the darkest fabric, and this is the one that's going to be the binding. And from here we need to cut 4 3.5 inch squares. These are the corner squares, so we can put these aside. The total amount of pieces we're going to need are the 4 corners at 3.5 inches. The 5.5 inch pieces, we only need 8. The 6.5 inch pieces, we need 18. And the 7.5 inch, we need 4. This piece border is going to take a little bit of all of these pieces. So we could sew these together randomly, or you can lay them beside your quilt to see what you think is going to fit best. The next is going to be that top row. We're going to have the corner squares on. Really easy if you just go by the picture. Again, you can lay them out randomly or have them personally fitted to how you want them to look. With that piece border done, I'm going to be able to add that very last border, which is a 4.5 inch border. With those 3 borders on, we're done. The eggs on toast reminded me of these little emojis with these nice big eyes. So I thought we would just take the eggs on toast and make it in a whole new color variation. And it is quite amazing what happens to the same pattern when you change the colors. Everything is the same with the pattern, except instead of having the last 2 borders, I had 1 very large piece border. What a fun twist on Eggs on Toast. Eggs on Toast, a fun name and a fun quilt. And it's a quick quilt because we get to fuse those eggs onto the toast with a little stitching on the machine, and each piece is done. The pieces are big, so it does go together quite quickly. And it can be done in many different color variations. And maybe you don't see the eggs on the toast. Maybe you see eyeballs. However you see it, it is a fun quilt. I'll put a link in the description to the free pattern. And thank you for joining me today on Sew Very Easy. Feel free to subscribe, and as always, come on back. Let's see what we're sewing next time in the sewing room. Bye for now.